BBC's Andrew Marr quizzed Simon Coveney, the Irish Deputy Prime Minister, during a tense interview over Britain's departure from the European Union, in which the host warned the UK was heading towards a no-deal Brexit. BBC host Andrew Marr put the Deputy Irish Prime Minister on the spot over the UK heading towards a no-deal Brexit. Boris Johnson, who is tipped to become the next leader of the Conservative Party and Prime Minister, has said the UK will be leaving the EU by the end of October this year, come what may. Speaking on the Andrew Marr Show, the BBC host quizzed the Irish Deputy Prime Minister Simon Coveney over the prospect of a no-deal Brexit. The BBC presenter said, "This is where we are now. There are no available compromises or fudges to the backstop agreement. The backstop agreement is not going to get through the House of Commons. It follows that we are heading towards no deal." Mr. Coveney replied, "Well, I certainly hope not. The backstop can be avoided by negotiation. The backstop can be replaced with alternative arrangements. But the backstop does need to be part of a withdrawal agreement. A lot of people don't focus on this in the debate in the UK. This is about reassuring people in Northern Ireland that they are not going to go back to the friction and tension of the past. This is ultimately what this is about. To ask Ireland to compromise on that core issue, when we spent 2.5 years working with the British government and the EU to try and find a way to compromise on all sides to ensure we don't face that prospect. It is not a reasonable ask because of a political challenge in Westminster to move away from that position." During the show, the Irish Deputy Prime Minister insisted that the UK and the EU were both in trouble if the next British Prime Minister tears up the current withdrawal agreement. He said, "If the approach of the new British Prime Minister is that they're going to tear up the withdrawal agreement, then I think we're in trouble. We're all in trouble, quite frankly, because it's a little bit like saying, either give me what I want or I'm going to burn the house down for everybody." He added, "The EU has made it very clear that we want to engage with the new British Prime Minister. We want to avoid a no-deal Brexit." Mr. Coveney said checks would have to be carried out on the island of Ireland in the event of a no-deal Brexit. But he said those checks would not be at the border. He said, "We have to protect relationships and peace on the island of Ireland, and we are not going to create a security risk by putting a border in place on the border. But we also have to make sure that there are verification mechanisms to ensure what the EU knows what is coming into its single market." He added, "There will need to be checks somewhere. We are working out with the European Commission how that will work." Double quote. Both Mr. Johnson and Foreign Secretary Jeremy Hunt, who is also in the Tory leadership race, were critical of the controversial Irish backstop mechanism within Theresa May's withdrawal agreement. Last week, earlier this week, Mr. Johnson said, "We have friends in Brussels, plenty of people who will want to negotiate with us throughout the summer. If there is a refusal to compromise, if they won't change a dot or a comma of this withdrawal agreement, then obviously we have no choice than to come out on different terms, and that's what we'll do." The European Union has stood firm and insisted the withdrawal agreement, which was rejected 3 times in the Commons, will not be renegotiated.